All right, so I'm back with, I think this is number 6, prepping 5 low carb dinners in an hour. And I'm hoping that I complete it. Like I say, I don't know. When I start this, I have no idea how good this is going to be or how bad. So let me tell you what I'm making. Oh, and if you watched the last one, I forget, I think it was the pork roast that I like dumped tablespoons of black pepper in. It was a little bit on the spicy side, but it wasn't too hot. So just an update on that. Almost catastrophe, I guess. Okay, so one of them, oh, and before, my brain literally is a laptop with 1,000 tabs open, and that's how my laptop is. And when I lose my tabs, I get so upset. So anyway, I'm gonna explain my meat real quick. So this meat here is from a cow from a guy we know that raises them that we bought a quarter side from. And then I've got ground deer. I don't want to get the blood anywhere. Okay, so then I've ground deer. I've got ground beef. I have ground deer. My uncle calls cube steaks that we make ourselves chicken fry. So it probably says, it says deer chicken. And then this one says chicken fry. And they're packaged weirdly because we did these ourselves. So, I may have said this before, I don't know. Basically, if a rancher's cow goes down and they know somebody in our family, instead of just letting the cow die or just killing it, leaving it, we go out and take care of everything in the field, take it to a freezer and hang it for a week, and then come back in. Usually we just get hamburger meat because usually it's an old female with a broken leg. And then when our family gets deer, we process that ourselves as well. So that's why, like, they're in the I don't know what it's called. I have one, I haven't used it. The seal meat packages. Oh my gosh. So, and then like this one was just done in a freezer baggie. Anyway, so that's what is up with my crazy meat looking stuff I have. Anyway. So back on to what we are having for dinner this week. Okay. So one of them is going to be slow cooker or slow cooked, whatever, crock pot cube steaks. So what I'm going to do today is I'm going to mix up the gravy mix. Basically, it's like whipping cream or heavy cream and cream cheese and some seasonings. You mix those together, and then I'm going to probably season them with like salt and pepper and stuff, and then sear them, let them cool a little bit, put them in their baggie, and then have the gravy in its own baggie. And then I haven't decided if I'm going to cut the onions and mushrooms or not, or if I'm just going to leave them for that morning. And then I'm going to have it with mashed cauliflower and salad. I will probably go ahead and make up a small batch of either real mashed potatoes, I have potatoes here, or some instant potatoes depending on my schedule. And because I don't know, hopefully everybody else's life is like mine. You have crazy days and weeks, and sometimes you don't know. Oh goodness, that's just crazy. I think I'll have my husband fast forward that part too. Maybe they could be bloopers, I don't know. Okay, so depending on how crazy my day is, I might do instant for them, or I might make it from scratch. Whatever, however it works out is fine. Chicken fajita casserole. In this one, I'm going to throw the words I use. I'm going to put in the oven the chicken breast. Actually, the recipe, when I linked to it, calls for chicken thighs. I didn't see that, and so I bought chicken breast. And I really thought it was kind of weird. Like, why does a recipe have 10 breasts for 2 pounds? That doesn't make sense. Maybe I should have figured that out. Anyway, so I'm going to bake the chicken breast, and while that's baking it on the stove, I'm going to cook the onions and pepper. Another note, One recipe called for red and green, and I don't know what color this called for. I just bought green. I'm not gonna buy another package to get one color out. So it's all green this week. Okay. And then with that, I'm going to serve, okay, so the chicken fajita casserole, we're gonna bake it all today and get it all cooked and assembled. And then the day of eating it, we're going to put it in the oven to heat it back up. And then I'm gonna serve it with avocado or guacamole or whatever and salad. And the avocado, I will be using my frozen avocado when I was gifted a case of avocados and froze a whole bunch. Number 3 is, sounds kind of weird, but excuse me. There's a THM recipe that's kind of similar. It's ground beef. It's called ground beef casserole. Sounds exciting. Basically, I think it's like, it may have heavy cream in it as well, and cream cheese and seasonings with green beans. Now I have a son who says green beans make him want to throw up. Whatever. You can have a sandwich. I do the best I can, but sometimes this is what we're going to have. Trying to feed a family with a bunch of picky people isn't always easy, and so I do what I can, but at the same time, we're not ever going to eat green beans. And you know I don't like bell peppers very much, and I've got one recipe calls for 2 bell peppers. Anyway, and then my chili. And my chili, if you've seen it before, it has cocoa powder in it, not the hot chocolate mix, but cocoa powder. And or you can use like unsweetened chocolate. It does the same thing, and it really is great. So don't shy away from that. You can use half if you're afraid of the total amount of the cocoa powder. And the secret ingredient is frozen okra that's blended up with tomato products. Wow. Okay. With my canned tomatoes, and this just get the okra completely blended up so you can't see any green specks, and when it cooks you can't tell there's okra in it. And I'm also going to include some mushrooms in the actually my recipe may call for it. I don't have it in front of me. The tiny diced mushrooms, I'm going to use my food processor to dice them up, because when you're doing something this fast, you need it needs to be quick. And then, so it's going to have mushrooms hidden in it and okra, and my family loves it. You can see a little bit of my greenery right here, just sticking down. Okay, sorry. And then after chili is jambalaya. I'm hoping this is really good. It sounds delicious, minus the bell peppers, and it's got celery. I'm not a celery fan. I feel like I'm really rambling today, so I'm just going to get started. Excuse my crazy brain. All right, so I've got so many things that I'm going to have going like at one time. I'm going to have to bake the chicken and cook the onions and the peppers and work on my chili, because that's got to cool. And all I'm doing for the chili, which is also can be cooked on the stove or the crock pot, is I'm just going to make up the meat parts with the seasonings, and then just store that. And then the day I'm going to make it, dump that into the crock pot, and then blend up the stuff in the blender that needs to be blended up, and just dump everything into the crock pot and stir. So it'll probably take, I'm going to guess 10 minutes to make it the day we eat it, but I feel like that's still pretty good. And then I'm going to have to cook the beef for the ground beef casserole. But the jambalaya is my main concern. I've got to cut up a bunch of the vegetables. This is my sausage. I haven't actually ever looked at I think this is still okay to eat. I'll get it from Aldi. And I'm not going to add the shrimp until the day we're going to eat it, or the cauliflower rice. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to heat up, the day we're going to eat it, I'm going to heat up the veggie meat mixture, and then add the cauliflower rice. And when that is cooked, I'll add the shrimp, because shrimp just is set, it cooks so quickly. I think that's good. I ramble way too much, and I'm just gonna get started. I think I've already said that. Okay, so I do get a little bit nervous. Anyway, Alexa, set a timer for an hour.
1 hour, starting now.
Okay. Okay, the jambalaya has me cooking this first. I don't know why, but it does. So I'm gonna go ahead and slice this and get this in the skillet, and then cut up the onion and the pepper for the chicken fajita casserole, and then move on to the vegetables for the jambalaya. All right, so a funny for today. Oh boy, okay, alrighty. That wasn't the funny. Wow. So I do this thing where I go to Taco Bell and I get sides and I make it into like a taco salad. And I hadn't planned on eating out today. I went and visited with my stepmother for a little bit, and then it turned into a long time, and I was starving, and I was having to come home and do this. So I went to Taco Bell, went to the drive-thru, and I said I want, it's gonna be kind of weird, but I'd like to get 3 sides of lettuce, 2 sides of cheese, 2 sides of tomatoes, a side of beef, and a side of sour cream. Well, I left out one important thing. Put it in a container for me. All my sides were individual sides. I was so frustrated with myself. I pulled over to get it all ready and get all the sauce and everything, and I couldn't help but laugh and sigh and feel dumb all at the same time. So what I did is I came home and I had a low carb tortilla, and it all didn't fit. The lettuce, there was just way too much lettuce, but I put it into a low carb tortilla, and it was delicious. So I think that's what I'm going to start doing, is getting 1 less lettuce, maybe 1 less cheese. It was a lot of cheese, and then eating it on a low carb tortilla. But it was pretty messy if I was at home and nobody else saw, but whatever. So I did change from the first video. I had a trash bowl inspired from Rachel Ray. I just moved the trash can to the where I'm working, and that way it's just dump right there, not an extra step. Okay, so I'm gonna quit talking again, and I'm gonna cut up the celery and the bell pepper and the onion. I don't know which recipe has 2 bell peppers. Is it the fajita casserole or is it jambalaya? I think it's the jambalaya. Oh. Well, I hope I'm right. I just took the sausage out of the skillet, and I'm about to add these veggies in. Okay, now I'm going to get started on the vegetables for the fajita casserole. Basically, I don't remember if she said a specific onion, but I have red, purple, whatever you call these guys. I think they're called red, but they look... Okay. So now I'm going to add some Cajun seasoning to the vegetables. I have somebody in this house who is very sensitive, so to heat, sorry. And then I'm just going to add 1 tablespoon, and then I'll taste it the day we eat it and see if it needs more. Sorry, these onions are potent. This is softened cream cheese. I'm going to mix a half a block of shredded cheese into it that I have to shred. And then like fajita seasoning, which to me is almost taco seasoning. So I'm just going to mix some stuff up and throw in there. I have no clue. Okay, so now I'm just going to add some chili powder. Almost had that cumin, dump that. Garlic, onion. This cream cheese is soft, but it is not the easiest to mix by hand. Okay, I was mistaken. I need to get an onion out for the chili, and I'm gonna start the chili now. All right, so the chicken, why did I leave like that? Okay. So the chicken breasts were not cooked in 20 minutes. So I flipped them and I put them back in there for 15 more minutes, and then I will check. Okay, I forgot to mention one of the reasons I was explaining my meat is if you don't want to use so much ground beef in a week, you can trade out some of your ground meat for ground turkey, ground chicken, because I'm using deer for half of 2 meals. I'm doing 1 pound of ground deer, 1 pound of ground beef, and then 1 pound of cube steak beef and 1 with venison deer. So it's not all beef. Now I'm going to do the mushrooms in the food processor. I'm going to go ahead and dump these on the plate I had the sausage on so I can start searing the cube steaks. So they're pretty wilted and cooked. If I could go longer, I would, but I really need to get started on the cube steaks. Okay, I have no idea if this is a good idea. I've never done this before. So basically I put salt and pepper and garlic powder. Can't see that, can you? Maybe no. In this little bowl, so that when I'm done, I'll just throw away what's left so that if I'm putting my hand from touching the meat and all that, I don't want to keep contaminating things. So I feel like this might be the best way. While I'm doing all the stuff on the stove, searing the steaks, cooking the hamburger meat and onion for the chili, and I got the jambalaya thickening up on the back, I'm going to start on the, I guess what's considered the gravy part of the cube steaks, which is, I think, a half a block of this, some cream. Okay, half of this, a quarter cup of cream, a third of a cup of broth, a teaspoon of garlic, some salt and pepper. Okay, so I'll mix this up and work on the stove all at the same time, or pretty much. This is homemade type chicken broth, and I'm sure it looks really weird, and it's gelled. It's really good for you. The hamburger meat is brown, and so I'm going to add in the mushrooms. Okay, so I just put the gravy mix, I don't know what else to call this, in this baggie, and my gelled chicken broth is kind of odd, but it's going to go in the fridge like this, and I'll add it to the crock pot the day that I'm going to make it. Now I'm going to season the chili meat. If you'll be able to see, the chili meat is done. I'm going to put it in a bowl so it can cool and I can get it in whatever container I'm going to store it in. Okay, so my notes, I don't have an onion for this recipe, but I already cut it up, so I'm going to go ahead and add it. I'm bagging up the cube steaks, but some of them are still pretty hot, so I'm not putting them all in here. And then the day that I make this, I will go ahead and slice the mushrooms and onions and throw everything into the crock pot. Okay, so I'm adding the cream and the cream cheese and the broth and the seasonings. Add the green beans and I'm going to dump them into a baking dish. And on the green bean, I'm calling it a, I don't know, ground beef casserole, whatever they called it. I'm going to top it with cheese the day that I cook it. Well, here's the ground beef casserole with green beans. It doesn't look that appetizing, so I will, hopefully the cheese will make it, I don't know, can't taste it yet, so I don't know, it looks pretty bland. I don't know, we'll see. All right, I think that was my timer. I'm almost done. These chicken breasts are pretty hot, so I'm gonna say it took me 1 hour and 3 minutes. The jambalaya and the chili are still too hot to put. I don't even want to put them in a plastic container. So I guess what I'm thinking is let them cool down while the kitchen gets cleaned up and then bag them up and then it's done. If you had, I don't, which probably shouldn't have in my house right now. I don't have glass containers. I used to have 3 of these, well, only 2 are 9x13. My Pioneer Woman is not quite 9x13. My husband broke one of those. Then I had 2 square pans, and my son last 2 weeks ago broke one of those. So I don't think glass storage containers are right for my house right now. All right, so I just use my hands to squish this all together so I can get it done. For your family, if everybody's not on plan, this would be, I feel like, I haven't made it yet. I don't know how it's going to come out, if it's going to come out liquidy at all, but it might be something you could make and give them tortillas to eat with or something, and refried beans or tortilla chips and salsa. And then we also top it with cheese, but I don't really like to store my casseroles. I mean, I just saw my favorite, so I'm not gonna put the other half of the cheese on. I'm gonna add the cheese. And usually what I do is I get it hot first, like cook it for most of its time, and then I add the cheese. That's my preferred, what's in the world, way to do it, just because I don't like overcooked cheese. So my food is done. I just have to finish putting everything up. So I guess, I mean, I don't know. My husband one time, when he was doing this, I did that exact same thing, and he asked me what I was doing, and I guess I just did the same thing I'm thinking. So I feel like this was a success. It wasn't as good as I wanted it to be, but maybe you can do it in less than 1 hour and not talk so much. Okay, so I'm gonna wash my hands and start putting away the food, and then get help cleaning my kitchen. I can't turn you off yet because, well, I'll try. Oh boy, okay. I'll wipe my knuckle off. Until next time, if you ever come back.